My name is Heather Lyons, and I'm here today with Michelle Krause, and we are with the Mind Body Business Collective, sponsored by the Holistic Chamber of Commerce, Severna Park chapter. Today we're going to be talking about a book. We decided that both of us read enough books that it made sense for us to talk about some of them and share with you some of the insights we find from the ones that we do. So this is our first one. The book we will be talking about is The Magnesium Miracle. Michelle and I are both very passionate about magnesium. It has enormous health benefits, and
we've noticed a lot of benefits with us,
yeah,
which is what kept us reading. And
absolutely, this was my the first time I read it. Michelle's actually read it a few times, the original edition and the newer edition. Myself, I have multiple sclerosis, and I, through reading this book, identified a lot of symptoms that I believed were multiple sclerosis related, and in actuality, many of them were just from magnesium deficiency. So I started taking some supplements based on the knowledge that I learned in this book, and I've noticed some tremendous improvements in my symptoms. So
yeah, and for me, I had several injuries, and a lot of my stuff was going away quite a bit, but I was noticing still like insomnia or sometimes pain in my sleep, or I would just be laying in bed and I was finding that I was completely tensed up. And so I found the Magnesium Advocacy site on Facebook. Then I saw this book recommended on Facebook. So I started reading the book while looking at the Magnesium Advocacy site, and I started seeing things like magnesium lotion, magnesium oil, all the different types of magnesium. And I started putting the magnesium oil or lotion on my feet. I do cranial sacral work, and even though I firmly believe in the cranial sacral work to get the fluids flowing, you need to have the right fluids flowing. And so I started offering up to my patients to go on the Magnesium Advocacy site, pick up this book, I can definitely tell people do the magnesium on your feet, do it in an area that's bothering you or the root of the area that's bothering you and not necessarily where your symptom is. And I started noticing significant difference that people were holding it longer, and then through the book learning how difficult it is to get magnesium in our diets. And the magnesium needs the magnesium and calcium and vitamin D, they all need to be in a certain level to be able to work, and it's harder to get magnesium than vitamin D and vitamin.
Absolutely. Going back to the different types of supplement or abilities, ways to get magnesium into your body, she does cover some of that a little bit, but I do want to note, just for all of you, Dr. Carolyn Dean, the author of the book, she does have her own supplements, her own type of supplement. I actually do take it. It's actually in my water that I'm drinking right now. I personally love it. Some people prefer other methods, as Michelle said, oils. One of the best absorption points on your body is through your feet. So if you get a lotion and you put it on your feet, they also make magnesium deodorants now, which your underarms is a really good location for absorption as well, because your pores are always open there from all of the sweating and perspiration that you do. So that's also a good location to absorb.
Well, and there's no reason that I didn't try it. It was just that I was already using something else.
And
the
works,
Magnesium Advocacy site gave a chart, and they didn't really recommend any particular kind, but they gave a chart of what works better for what thing. And so I started off that way, and then I learned about the doctor, and then I read the book, and it instead of going through the Magnesium Advocacy site on Facebook, where you get you basically are getting other people's questions or your own questions, you may not be getting stuff that you need. Whereas I was listening to this, I had a book, gave it away, then I started doing the audibles because of Heather saying she read it, and I thought, oh, I need to up on that. And then I'm like, I really need this in my hand. And so, having this in your hand to be able to thumb through, to be able to save things.
I use it like an encyclopedia. There's so much in here. One of the things that's fascinating about this book, as opposed to many other books about magnesium and supplements that are out there, Dr. Carolyn Dean actually cites studies and scientific information that
you have to really
show the
dig
efficacy.
for if you're
Yeah.
Googling. And then you're like, well, is this really true if you're Googling it and you have to dig that far to find it?
Well, there's so many blogs online now that you can't always trust everything that you read on the internet. Sorry to bust anyone's bubble, but that's true.
It must be true. It's on the internet.
Right? That's where we're going to be.
Like Facebook quizzes, they're always true.
Absolutely, but she has pages and pages in the back that cite the exact articles, research articles that have been written about magnesium that she uses as information in her book. So she really does.
It's also important to know that she explains why these research papers don't really get out there, why you're not seeing constant, magnesium's so great for you. And the problem is
the life spark at some point in here.
Is it,
the spark of life.
For what? The magnesium itself? Yeah.
Well,
because it's about firing the neurons. But the pharmaceutical companies and the government can't really put necessarily too much control on to be able to get money from doing magnesium.
Yeah.
And
there's no way to patent magnesium. It's a naturally occurring element in our bodies and in the earth. And so pharmaceutical companies are not able to patent it. And because they don't have a patent, there's no financial monetization of it. And so it's just not an interest for many pharmaceutical companies to endorse, to sell it. And then, of course, doctors themselves often aren't trained in a lot of the holistic practices as, you can learn at the Chamber of Commerce or through any holistic medicine provider. But regular traditional medical doctors often don't get that training, so they don't know. And when I spoke with my neurologist about it, and he was thrilled that I was taking it. He is very open-minded and mentioned that yes, he has talked to patients who have seen some benefits from it. One of the benefits from magnesium supplementation is leg cramps.
Well, muscle
and
relaxation.
muscle relaxing.
100% muscle relaxation. The neurons fire better from it. It's one of the things that I find frustrating is that I have patients that are seeing doctors and they're on tons of medication for heart disease, all sorts of issues, their heart not firing properly, and they're on a medication. And then I say, I'd like you to bring this to at least your doctor, or at least read the book so that you can be educated when you go and talk to your doctor. And I have several people that will say, well, I really don't think that's good because I know there are a lot of side effects to magnesium. And then I ask them, well, have you read the side effects on your medication?
Yeah.
And it really gets me that there are so few side effects of magnesium. You have to really overdose on magnesium or not be getting the right kind. And having that little chart is really just been a lifesaver for me to be able to educate people. And that's the biggest thing that we're here for today, is to help you become an advocate for yourself. Learn enough about it that you can ask some questions and you can learn the questions to ask to start feeling better and maybe taking things, starting off slower. And that's what we're about with holistics. When Heather and I talk, it's not about no medication, it's not about no surgery, but it's about, let's start with the holistic side, because the holistic side's not going to change your body to where it can't be changed back. Where if you're taking a medication, you can have damage that it will cost you a lifetime, and surgeries as well.
I'm a firm believer in integrated medicine myself. I do take some medications for my multiple sclerosis, but I do supplement it with more Eastern European holistic practices. Eastern medicine, that's what I meant to say. Eastern medicine practices. So, as Michelle said, we do encourage everyone to be their own advocate and to really listen to their body. Do what they think is right. Learn. Books like the Magnesium Miracle really help you learn about what's going on out and what's out there and what's possible. and then talk to your regular your doctors. Michelle and myself, neither one of us, disclaimer, are medical doctors. This is just our personal growth, experience,
and watching my clients. And
through learning and reading and becoming as knowledgeable as we can about what's out there to help improve our lives, both, in a holistic manner and through other means. So.
Well, and one of the things too that I don't think people take in consideration sometimes with holistic care is that our body didn't just get that way overnight. Slowly things happen, and then you get to a point where it's almost debilitating. And one of the best ways that I have found to describe it is like a child coming up to you and pulling on your skirt. Mommy, 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 and you're on the phone.
And you ignore it.
And you are kind of like, just a minute, mommy, mommy, mommy. And say you're walking into a store and you hang up the phone and you turn to your child and you're like, so what did you need? Or we need to go do this. And the child throws a full-out tantrum on the floor. And at that point, it's very difficult to get that child to come back. And that's what happens with our body, is that our body is designed to have pain when something's out of alignment or if something isn't. If one of your chemistries is off, you're going to feel that in another way. And so it's so important to listen to that, but then realize that when you start taking magnesium, it's not going to be this miracle pain pill. You're going to have to get it right. You might have to increase. Sometimes I tell people, don't increase by a full pill. Increase by a quarter pill when you go to increase, when your doctor's talking to you, because you might not need that full amount. Or decrease so you don't take away too much.
Yeah.
But it's so important to know that it takes a bit of time for it to get into your body, for it to start to improving. And do a journal. Yeah. Journaling is great for your health. Our bodies also absorb more magnesium, and will sometimes just push the magnesium through faster if we're stressed.
Yeah.
And
or
so there might be times
to the wrong locations.
Right. And sometimes you need to just kind of add a little bit more when you're stressed out, which is where I come in with don't think about taking a full pill. Think about, work on a quarter pill, work with your doctor with that, and talk to the doctor about that. And that helps them to be inquisitive and start learning more too, I think.
And Dr. Dean actually says that with her own supplement. She actually recommends that you start on a low dose and you build up. If you go in crazy and taking a lot of it, you will experience those side effects really fast because your body doesn't know how to handle that much coming into it at one time. So she talks about
that.
Yeah, she talks about the buildup of the magnesium.
Some people, they really get upset and they might get a little bit of loose stool when they're on it. And one thing is that's your body's way of getting rid of if you have excess.
Yep.
But it can also be that your body isn't used to it and it needs it a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I know of a couple people that had told me that, and I said, well, then back off just a little bit. And
unfortunately, a lot of people start taking magnesium, and as soon as they start to have that initial loose stool because they've overdosed themselves very quickly, they stop taking it and they say, I can't tolerate it, I can't take it. And that's sometimes, like you said, your body's way of saying, I need more of that, and I can't absorb it as fast as you're trying to get me to absorb it.
And Dr. Dean explains that a lot, which is why we recommend the book, and we recommend having the knowledge of that and going to your doctor to be able to ask the doctor and spark the doctors to start studying up on it. Really helping out. A lot of doctors nowadays are turning back towards more mixing the Eastern and Western medicine. Yeah. And I do think that there's just such a good harmony in that when we finally get to it. And I do see that we are starting to change that way.
Yeah. One of the things that a lot of the American society has been pushing is calcium. And unfortunately, calcium, it can really do a lot of damage to your body, and it needs a good balance of magnesium to calcium and vitamin D, because otherwise the calcium gets absorbed into your arteries. Michelle was telling me about a situation. She as a hobby likes to go and do dissections, and it's more of an educational experience for her as she's pursuing further education, but she was telling me a situation where there was a woman who literally her veins crumbled when they cut into her.
Yeah, her aorta specifically was like eggshells.
Yeah.
And we had discussed how difficult that must have been and how painful that is because it's right along the spine. And so the flexibility goes away as well when you start to have the buildup.
Yeah.
And so the magnesium helps to absorb the calcium and they balance themselves. And then your body can use it better and can put it to waste better if it's balanced. But the calcium is pushed so much. And they also talk about the form of calcium being best to be received through milk or through cheese, but then that causes other issues, which
well, and everything in our society today is calcium fortified. Your orange juice.
Read the cheese trap.
I saw peanut butter the other day that had calcium fortified peanut butter. Orange, I said orange juice, cheese, ice cream, yogurt. Everybody's doing
And calcium is really high in vegetables, and that's where you're going to get more magnesium, but sadly, you're not going to be able to get as much. I used to be more against like a supplement, but the amount of farming that has been done, it's really difficult. And I believe that Dr.
She
Dean
covers
talks
that
about
depth,
that too. So,
how in around the world we are over farming our soil, and a lot of the natural nutrients like magnesium that would be absorbed through our food stream are not there anymore, and so it's almost a necessity for us to take a calcium supplement or a magnesium supplement. Whereas calcium, it's if you're eating a
and
traditional American diet, you're already likely getting enough calcium in your body.
Right, and but it may not stay in your body if you don't have the correct amount of magnesium, and that's where we do not come in to help you with that. That
no.
Thing.
And she also does talk about some
I did
testing
forget about
that
the magnesium bath.
Oh yeah, Epsom salts. That's another.
Either Epsom salts or magnesium flakes you can get on Amazon. And
those
you can get them anywhere, but
great ways to get it into your skin. When you're in a bath, your pores are open naturally from the warmth of the water, and so you can absorb these.
That's my favorite thing.
I
put a hand towel on the bottom, and then I put the magnesium flakes in it, and then I put that over my neck because. Unfortunately, as we get older, we're not like the little kid that can just float in it, and you don't always have time to go to a float spa. So you put that around your neck, and you sink down as much as you can, and keep pouring warm water on it.
I also have a foot bath spa.
Yes.
And we put it in the foot bath spa at home.
But I'll wake up a lot in the middle of the night, and I have magnesium lotion by my bed, and my husband will laugh because he'll feel me pull my feet up, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Shh, I'm trying to go back to sleep," and I just kind of rub it on my feet, rub it on my hands and my forearms from doing, the body work, and it's really helpful for me because sometimes I just you kind of feel like you might be tensing up at night, and also putting it right on the base of your skull, right in here, because that's where everything is communicating.
Yeah.
Or restless leg syndrome, put it back in here, and I don't like using diagnoses like that. So like if you have restless legs, but if you have restless leg syndrome, put it right back in here. It'll start to open things up along the spine. But, and you're not going to get enough just doing it that way. We are not the experts on that. Definitely get the information that you can get out of here so that you can learn. Spark some interest in other people as well as doctors.
And actually, she does have a list. One of the things we haven't covered yet is that many tests that doctors do not properly
I think
identify.
they test for 2 types of magnesium.
Yeah, they don't properly identify the amount of magnesium in your body through the methods that they use. So she does actually recommend in her book. There's a website that sells some test kits that you can take to, I think, any blood draw place that will will properly test the blood or whatever materials it needs, but it will perform the proper test to ensure that you have the correct amount of magnesium in your body. What happens?
And the magnesium that you need. And gutmag.org also has doctors that run it, and you can do a phone consult with them, and you can also get the information from them, and they'll tell you what tests to get.
Or in the Magnesium Advocacy Group on Facebook, you can
gotmag.org.
literally go and ask a question. It's run by...
It is gotmag.org. They're the same.
Oh, they are?
Yeah.
I didn't realize.
Yes, so if you don't go on Facebook, if you go on Facebook and you look up the Magnesium Advocacy site, make sure you've blocked off a good 5 hours and cut yourself off, because it can be really...
Set a time limit. Reading the questions that people go in and post, and that the doctors go in and respond to is really fascinating.
And they're very passionate, and they have, I believe it's called the Root
Cause
Protocol. Because I've subscribed to that. It's like $10 a month, and I haven't even had time to look at it, but I save it in my emails.
It's a email that
fabulous.
comes to you on a regular basis that explains some information and helps you move along the steps of the protocol. And they also have their own recommendations for supplements that they recommend.
You just reminded me of something that we hadn't covered when we talked. I personally had an IUD in I had gotten it changed out. I had never had an issue with it, but this one particular one that I got was not sitting well with me. I couldn't figure out what it was, because slowly over time, I was getting worse and worse, to the point where I was waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had such severe pain in my lower spine. I also was having problems with my vision and everything, and I finally went to the doctor and found out that there was a recall, but not from my doctor. The doctor swore to me that there was no recall on it. I said, I want it out, I'm done. Well, when I got it taken out, I ended up with a severe migraine with severe vertigo, could not even get up to go to the restroom. I was inching to the bathroom. It would take me like a half an hour. And my husband, who was normally mainstream, I said, I don't want to go to the hospital, I'll be fine, I don't know what it is, but it has to do with getting that removed. He Googled it. Took him till the 8th page to find where it's called a Mirena crash, where your body cannot produce hormones anymore. And immediately, the only thing I think I said within a 24-hour period was, Magnesium Advocacy Group, look up the adrenal cocktail. And they had an adrenal cocktail on there. I did the adrenal cocktail mix, and I'm not going to say it because you can look it up. And within 45 minutes, I jumped up, and it was Christmas Eve, and I said, let's go look at lights. And I was all over the place. I was wired, and he was like, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
He's like, you're sick. And we did. We went out, and I was ready to run. I was just right back into
and actually, more and more doctors who specialize in people with migraines are saying that there is an extreme benefit of magnesium and adrenal cocktails and other things that do help abate the pain that people with migraines often feel.
Right, and the adrenal cocktail isn't just magnesium. Yeah. It's potassium, magnesium, and of course the other minerals that you get in the Himalayan salt, which discard the other table salt, but then it's also vitamin C.
Yeah.
And then the calcium.
I actually, in my water, I usually put a cocktail in here. It's usually a little bit of Himalayan salt, some honey, and the magnesium, and then some other trace elements, trace minerals.
Yeah, it's huge, because there's so many things that we don't know that are in our body. So it's good to read about it. It is on Audibles, but we do
she covers
love
so
to have it in
much
our hand.
more than just magnesium.
She does, yes.
And that's why I think it's just really crucial for people who have any sort of chronic illness or disease to read. She talks specifically about things you can do to help each individual problem, which is why I use it like
and there's
an encyclopedia.
So many things in here that I found myself constantly going back to listen to things over again, and I couldn't write it down at the time. And that's
now you got your second copy of your book.
Yeah, that's why I was finally like, you know what, I'm getting the book. I have to go through and mark it up still. I just recently got it, but I did go through. I mean, it's crazy. What is it? The one list of 100 symptoms.
Oh yeah, there's 100
symptoms
deficient.
deficient.
And I mean, honestly, most people probably have many of them.
This is the one thing that I did really hit on. Magnesium robbers, birth control pills, cocaine, bronchial dilators, corticosteroids, diuretics, fluoride-based drugs, insulin, nicotine, statins.
I think you've just covered the entire basic pharmacy list that
stress.
everybody has
stress.
today. I was actually able, when I started taking my magnesium supplements, I was able to decrease the amount of anxiety medication I was on. I do still get periodic heart palpitations, but as soon as they start to come on, it's like, where's my water? I gotta start drinking it, because the magnesium also helps regulate some other things that decrease my heart palpitations. So.
Yes, I think we've kind of wrapped it up.
Yeah, I think we've
apologize.
talked about
we
the
get
whole
so
book.
excited.
Yeah, we love
now you don't
this.
have to read it now. This thing is.
If you are interested in reading her book, we will be posting a link to where you can get a copy.
And we'll post the picture of the different types of magnesium below, and the website for Holistic Chamber of Commerce as well, because there might be someone in your area, because the Holistic Chamber of Commerce is international. So it's local and international, but we really appreciate you checking in with us today. And the next book that we want to cover is You're a Badass at Making Money.
Yeah, by Jen Sincero.
We've read it before, but we feel like it's a good time to check in.
Again, very marked up.
For us, the new year coming in.
Yeah.
And even if it's not the new year, it's never a bad time to check in and see if you're giving yourself your value with your work.
Yeah. A lot of people have heard of Jen Sincero's book, You Are a Badass, but a lot of people haven't read the second edition that she has, that includes more focus around the making money, which is good for everybody. She really goes through and uncovers a lot. So can't wait to talk about that.
Me either. And you match the book.
I know. Might fade into my shirt. Thank you all, and we will see you again soon. All right. I didn't bring a second shirt, and I know you said that Laura was coming.